CERN, Higgs Boson, God particle likely does not exist. Long believed to be the answer of how the Big Bang started, the elusive Higgs boson particle likely doesn't exist, admits CERN scientists. Scientists have discovered why the infamous Higgs boson particle, also known as the God particle, has been so hard to find. It probably doesn't exist. This disappointing pronouncement comes from scientists at CERN who told a crowd at last week's Lepton-Photon conference in Mumbai in India that their research shows that there's a 95% probability that the hypothetical Higgs boson particle is nothing more than a figment of our imagination. Now, why does the Higgs boson not exist? Because this Big Bang that they're looking for never occurred in the first place. It's absolutely ridiculous. It has been the bane of cosmology for at least 3 decades. It's absolutely absurd that the entire universe was an infinitesimally small point of super dense, super hot something and just blew up, creating the entire universe, planets, stars, people, dogs, Cadillacs, everything that exists in the universe sprang from nothing. It's an idiotic concept to start with and makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. The universe in all likelihood is infinite, no beginning or no end. And it is the epitome of human arrogance at this point in our development to assume that we could actually understand how the entire universe came into being when they can't even stop a nuclear reactor from melting down after an earthquake. It is ridiculous. So this is good news. In physics, this is a big, big deal. Absolutely. This is a huge deal, which is why I'm making a video about it. First populated by 3 independent groups of physicists in the 1960s, the Higgs boson, named after the Scottish physicist Peter Higgs, has been long believed by many in the physics community to be the elementary particle responsible for sparking the Big Bang. You know, that big explosion that never happened? You know, the beginning of everything, and thus the entire universe and everything in it. This is why they call it the God particle. Now, just as an aside here real quick, God particle, I can't prove this or not, but it seems to me to be a reference to Stephen Hawking's seeing through the mind of God, looking through the eyes of God. But it's also a very not so veiled way of tucking creationism into science. Because if you go out and attack the Big Bang, then you're also attacking a creation event. So it's a double pincher attack there. If you don't believe in the Big Bang, you don't believe in God, which is not true. Or if you don't buy into the Big Bang, then you have no idea what you're talking about. And the physics community does. They've got all the answers. And as it is bearing out right now before our eyes, they don't. So the God particle is its own little guilt trip. If discovered, Higgs boson would provide the missing link for the standard model of particle physics and could usher in all new types of physics. While many have attempted to find concrete evidence of the Higgs boson, the most promising endeavor has been carried out at CERN's Large Hadron Collider. In fact, discovering the Higgs boson was one of the primary purposes of the LHC, which took 16 years and $10 billion to build. Now here's another admission that the entire reason that they built that thing was to find this particle, was to find the Higgs boson, and to test supersymmetry, which is a component of most of the superstring theories. Interestingly enough, I'm making a video about it right now. Supersymmetry in tandem with the Higgs boson is also being ruled out as a possibility. So basically, the entire Large Hadron Collider was a waste of money. They should have gave me $10 billion and I would have told them what was going to happen. What a waste. What a waste. They could have gave it to charity. The LHC, which measures 17 miles in circumference, has been called the Big Bang Machine because its purpose is to collide particles together at mind-blowing speeds, much as they are believed to have collided in pre-time, enabling scientists to observe the effects of such collisions. It was through these types of experiments that CERN scientists hoped they would discover the elusive Higgs boson. Elusive is code for non-existent, apparently, in which they now realize that it may not exist at all. So what does the probable absence of the Higgs mean for the rest of us? Well, first of all, it means we as people remain as far from ever from discovering how our universe came into existence, a question humanity has been trying to answer presumably since the beginning of our own creation. In an infinite universe, there is no beginning and there is no end. And that is the probable outcome. That is probably how the universe began. It never began. It's always been here. It is an ancient relic far beyond the scope of our imagination. I think it's a lot murkier for people to try to understand something that never began and will never end, because humans are linear thinkers. Another less profound but more obnoxious outcome is that people who choose to dismiss science altogether simply because it doesn't have all the answers, in this case the answer to how did we come into existence in the first place, will have new ammunition for their arguments. Now, I'm not included in this because I'm not anti-science. I'm not included in that crowd. This is an exciting time for science because now we can break away from that old paradigm and move in the right direction. Plasma cosmology, biocentrism. This is cutting edge physics, folks. So don't be surprised when CERN's troublesome admission that Higgs Boson is likely a myth is cited as a reason that global warming doesn't exist. Well, we already know that global warming doesn't exist. And now we're just finding out that the Higgs boson doesn't exist. So what does that tell everybody? That these people don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. This is what happens when they get stuck in the swamp of theoretical math, which has no more relevance on the chalkboard than it does out in the real world, in the three-dimensional universe in which we inhabit. So I've been saying for years, before YouTube was around, the pursuit of Higgs boson was a complete waste of time. The Big Bang never happened. String theory is absolutely unnecessary. There is no evidence of black holes. No, there is zero evidence that black holes exist. Dark matter, dark energy are bullshit. It's all bullshit. The standard model is going down. Exciting time in physics.